Okay, guys, how we doing? It's your host, host, Randall Parker Jr., and you are watching another episode of the Proz Crypto Talk Hour. Today is August 6, 2014. This is episode 9. Today's episode is entitled Bitcoin, So Easy a Noob Can Do It. So, I'm dealing with a little bit of audio issues right now, so you guys just bear with me for a quick second if you could. All right, cool. Better. So, I was on the Roundtable show yesterday, which was Tuesday night, and we talked about Bitcoin a little bit, and what we kind of realized was that it's still kind of hard for a lot of the voluntarists to fully wrap their head around what's going on with Bitcoin and why it might be relevant for them in terms of liberty, in terms of enhancing liberty in the future and achieving freedom in our lifetimes. So I want to spend time on that. Kind of selling some more of the value of Bitcoin itself, and then I also want to cover some of the ways in which, if you're not involved in Bitcoin now, how you can get involved. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding and misconception around that topic, and I want to address that as well today. And then we're going to talk about, if we have some time, hopefully we're going to have enough time to get into a little bit about altcoins. Not everyone understands what an altcoin is, or maybe they've heard of Litecoin or Dogecoin or something else, but maybe not fully understanding why there would be multiple kinds. If there's already a Bitcoin, why would there be copies of that or duplicates or alternative versions of it or whatever like that? So we're going to talk about altcoins a bit, and then I'm going to try to explain some of the harder Bitcoin ideas, maybe a few things like blockchains and sending a Bitcoin and public and private key. I don't know which ones I feel like getting into today, but we'll talk about a few things there. And then we'll talk a little bit about where cryptocurrency is going in the future and how it's going to play into the role of achieving freedom, how it's going to help us attain freedom in the future as well. And then that should be probably the first half hour of the program pretty much. And then from there, got some high-tech show notes here. From there, if I have any participation from the audience, I'd like to do some Q&A. I have, give me 1 second, I'm pulling up the YouTube chat so I can see if anybody's chatting in the little sippy sip. Delicious. So yeah, let's start with the first topic for today. The big picture, right. So I can kind of rant on this for a few minutes. The idea here is that I think people are so looking at a couple aspects of Bitcoin, namely like the price fluctuations, the security aspect in terms of what happened with MT Gox, or the fact that people buy drugs or guns or whatever, or hire hitmen or whatever with Bitcoin. People do all those things with cash, so we've already been over that in the program, and I know a lot of you guys are smart enough to catch that as some sort of a logical fallacy. Probably, I don't even know what's going on actually, but it's not sound reasoning. I'm trying to share the link again, see if people want to join in. So the big picture of Bitcoin is that it's more than just the actual coin itself right now, and it's more than all the altcoins that are out there. Bitcoin is a revolution in how we trust one another in society and how we keep track of value. So up until Bitcoin, when it came out in 2009, the way that the world kept track of how much things were worth was by, some sort of ledger, just like Bitcoin, but it was centralized either in a bank or within a government or maybe just in your household or your village or community or whatever. But the revolutionary aspects of Bitcoin are a few things, but one of them is the fact that this ledger is not in one central spot. So when people say decentralized and they're talking about cryptocurrency, they're basically saying that it's not centralized. The opposite of centralized is decentralized. So essentially, if you had a credit card company, like let's say your Citibank or whatever, you have all of your credit card information housed somewhere in a database file in a computer that's encrypted and protected and everything like that. But just like, I guess, Bitcoin, it's maybe hard to crack through their kind of protection, I'm sure. But at the same time, there's also the problem that if you do get through with the bank or with a centralized organization, you just have to infiltrate that one arm of the system, and it gives you access to all the data, all the information. And if I had access to Chase or Wells Fargo or Bank of America's internal system, obviously I could probably transfer money from their general fund to my checking account or to whatever I wanted to do, I'm sure. So not that those things happen very often with money, in fact, with traditional money, but I'm going to get into a few other things that distinguishes Bitcoin from traditional money from more of a libertarian sense as well. But that is one aspect in the sense that you really cannot fraud Bitcoin because it's decentralized. So let me kind of drill that home a little bit better. Essentially, if I was able to go into your computer or your Bitcoin wallet file, which is the download file that shows, there's the wallet file that shows what coins you have, what wallet addresses you own, so to speak, and then there's the blockchain file. And the blockchain file is like the database of all of the transactions that ever took place on the Bitcoin network from 2009 until today. And what was I going to say? I'm sorry, I got distracted because I have myself in my own corner of my eye in the other screen. Just wanted to see if there's any action in the chat room. Okay, so blockchain files, Bitcoin, big picture. Sarah, where was I? Do you remember? No problem. My production assistant. So the idea with decentralization is that if I could fraud a few different points of contact in the network, they call it nodes, then I can essentially just fraud that one area. And it wouldn't work because Bitcoin is a consensus, so whenever I send a coin, it pushes that information out to the network, and different nodes will pick up that transaction is coming out, and it has to get verified a number of times down the chain in order to count as a transaction and go into the permanent record. So that was kind of the point I was trying to get to, was the fact that if you could fraud a banking system, it would just take you going in there and making edits to the database, and you have that money. And that might sound good for you if you're a thief, but if you're the one on the getting stolen end of the money, then it's not so good. So Bitcoin is more secure in that sense, and it's also much more fair. So Bitcoin, aside from the laws, and this is the thing I want people to understand, as voluntarists, we shouldn't be too concerned about what the laws are per se, like in the sense of like, just like maybe abolitionists didn't care what the laws were during the times of slavery because they knew the laws were immoral. It wasn't a question of like, well, we better follow the laws. It was like, no, and even so I would agree with that idea that we have no obligation to follow any law, period. But I guess more specifically, the unjust laws. I mean, maybe we have an obligation to follow like laws of nature, like gravity. I don't know. But so other big picture topics we can touch on real quick. Bitcoin is actually the only technology that has the means to replace the state functions without the real likelihood for fraud. And I'm not saying the state makes fraud less likely at all. Don't mistake what I'm saying. In fact, what I'm saying is that even if in a free society and we weren't using Bitcoin, we had to say, all right, we'll just have free market, means of testing the validity or usefulness of a product or service, and then based on how the market responds, those companies will either succeed or fail. That's good, but at the same point in time, we have to rely on these businesses through trust. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. We have to rely on these businesses through trust due to the fact that they're not able to prove that what they do or what they have on hand, let's say as assets, is actually there. So if you belong to a credit union or a brokerage, like a stock brokerage, and you move $1,000 from your checking account and you put into your sharebuilder.com, I'm just saying their name, it could be anything, it could be E-Trade or whatever. If you put that money in there and you go into your account balance and you see it says $1,000 balance, you're going to go ahead and assume that that $1,000 is actually there. If you wanted to go ahead and take that money out and put it back into your checking account and not do any trading, you could probably do that. That's an assumption you're making. There's no way for you to audit that balance The only way to test it is to actually withdraw the money and see if it comes back out. Usually it will, because if they didn't, word would get out that they were insolvent, and they, but insolvency doesn't always show up. That's the thing. So if I'm a big business like a stock brokerage and I have billions of dollars on hand, but I need to have $6 billion and only have $2 billion, I could probably float it for a long time where people take out 1,000 and 10,000 and 50,000, and I'm earning money, and it's like called a Ponzi scheme basically. So I'm not saying that every single brokerage or any of the brokerages or banks in the world are Ponzi schemes per se in a traditional sense, a literal sense, but it certainly doesn't they don't lend themselves to transparency as much as Bitcoin can. So Bitcoin, this is a question that came up yesterday as well on the show that I was on. Is Bitcoin anonymous, or is it not anonymous? Meaning, how come people say Bitcoin's anonymous, and then how come there's something like Darkcoin that claims to be anonymous, or there's a product from Cody Wilson called Dark Send, or Dark Wallet rather. If Bitcoin's already anonymous, what do we need a more anonymous version of it for? So to answer that question, no, Bitcoin isn't anonymous. The word anonymous is an inaccurate term to use. Bitcoin is what you would call pseudo-anonymous. Sorry about that, guys. Pseudo-anonymous means that it's anonymous to a point, and that extent is the extent to which, for the most part, that we, as the users of Bitcoin, take those proper precautions to protect our identities. This isn't the episode where I'm going to go into those precautions, because I want to stay more big picture, but that's something that you could be aware of, that Bitcoin has within itself the potential for anonymity, but out of the box, don't assume per se that you're, maybe because your method of using Bitcoin isn't the most appropriate way to stay anonymous. And that's a topic for another episode. We can do a whole show on that. So the next thing is we're going to talk about getting in and out of Bitcoin. So that's one of the biggest things I actually hear, and that kind of confuses me, because I can think of a lot of ways to buy and sell and receive and get Bitcoin. The funny thing, too, is the follow-up question I always ask when someone says, well, if I want to buy Bitcoin, how would I do that? I don't know where to start. I mean, I think it smacks of laziness to me, and I don't mean to be rude to anyone. And if I'm mistaking this, then please tell me, because anything you're interested in the world is Google search away, and if you know what it is you want to find, you just type it into Google, and you should find something, especially something so popular as Bitcoin. But any which way, let me give you the answer anyway. Getting in and out of Bitcoin can be done a number of ways. My go-to move right now is localbitcoins.com, and I'll tell you why. Localbitcoins.com has a built-in escrow service. It has a reputation system built into it. So, for example, you could have hundreds of options at least to buy and sell Bitcoin on localbitcoins.com. They're not a sponsor of this program by any means either, but they are a very useful site that I've taken advantage of myself many times. So not only are there hundreds of merchants available with positive feedbacks over, showing that they've done hundreds of transactions and had, if any, maybe one or two complaints out of hundreds and hundreds. And that's the kind of stuff you want to look for in any kind of environment where you're doing business. But the fact that you can see that on local Bitcoins and know that your exchange is going to be, speedy and, great communication. And I'd say probably, I'm not going to say the number, but whatever. I'll say, let's just say I've done 20 transactions on there, and possibly 2 or 3 of them went down in a frustrating manner. I always got my coin or sold my coin. I was never left holding the bag, but I guess there were a couple cases where I was frustrated with the time that it took or the lack of communication. But considering I don't have to deal with the bank, considering I don't have to you get to put in your driver's license and all that information with any of these sites pretty much to buy and sell Bitcoin online because of the government, obviously, because of federal laws mandating know your customer and the Patriot Act and whatnot. But here's a tip to get around that. Offer to help a friend to get into Bitcoin, someone that you know that's into Bitcoin. Tell them you'll set up an account for them. On local Bitcoins, use their ID and everything, and then ask them if they don't mind if you use their account sometimes to buy and sell Bitcoin. Help them build up their feedback. Makes sense. You heard that from me. I don't mind hiding from that. That's a great idea. Why do we have to use one ID for things? Why can't we use IDs as a group? one friend can sign up for one thing, another friend can all pay for it together. You got good credit, so you pay for that, and we'll chip in. Use your brains, guys. You don't have to do it the way it says on the credit application. You can do it the way you want to do it. The banks don't actually get to meet you. They just look at your name on the sheet, and they approve you based on the data. So be creative. Other ways to get in and out of Bitcoin. Most of you guys probably are good at something, whether you can sing, or whether you're funny, or whether you're good at drawing, or whether you can make a website, or whether you are, whatever the case may be, you have some sort of marketable skill. Even if you are a painter, you paint houses for a living. So put it on reddit.com/r/jobs, the number 4 Bitcoin. So it's jobs, the number 4, and then Bitcoin. Everything on Reddit is reddit.com/r, that's the slash thing, or this way, or whichever way, /r/jobs, the number 4, Bitcoin. It's mostly programming and graphic design and computer-related skills on that site, but if that speaks to your skill set, then go on there, and instead of having to buy Bitcoin, you could just do some work that you know how to do. Maybe it'll take you a few days or a week, and there's people that I've done business with on there already, and they pay, you know? And it's interesting, too, with Bitcoin, just to give you guys maybe something you don't know, when you make a payment, it's one way. It's not reversible. So if you make a mistake and you send it to the wrong address, and this is something that will change as we have, not that will change, but the user friendliness of it will change to where you'll have a little check mark and you know you're sending it to your friend, and you'll know this is Jim's ID and this is Susan's ID and so forth. But you can also have anonymous IDs that you don't register in that way. I'm just saying that'll be a functionality that some websites and exchanges will probably be offering. There's already a few that do, Coinbase being one, Coinbase.com. But sticking with local Bitcoins for a second, you create your account, and so here are some of the ways you can get and receive Bitcoin. PayPal is a super easy one. So if you have a PayPal account and you have funds in your PayPal account, the way this works is you initiate a trade with someone on local Bitcoins. You could be doing this right now as you're watching this show. Just open up a new tab and leave me talking and go right through it. It'll take 2 seconds. Go to localbitcoins.com. It says on the top, buy, sell Bitcoin. Clearly you're new to Bitcoin, so you're going to be buying in. Click on buy Bitcoin. Probably make you create an account at some point, but let's assume you already created your account. So on the right-hand side, there is different options for how you'd like to pay. And it says like show more, and then you can say show in US dollar, show in all online offers is the one you want to click. Tool around on the site. I'm not going to tell you every single step of the way, but once you find the section of where it sorts everything by the different offers, you can do money packs, vanilla reloads, green dot reloads, PayPal. There's even people on there that will trade Bitcoin for gold, for Starbucks gift cards. Another really common one that I use is the bank deposit route. And again, you don't need a bank account. I'm not saying that you shouldn't use your own bank account for any particular reason. I'm just saying if you don't have a bank account, don't let that hold you back. If you're young and your parents have a bank account, you could ask for permission to help you with this, possibly, or an aunt or uncle or something like that. If you're someone who just doesn't believe in using the banking system, if you're an agorist, great. Ask a friend who is a little bit more ingrained in the traditional monetary system if they wouldn't mind. Again, you don't have to link the bank account to local Bitcoins. The way this works is I would go onto local Bitcoins if I were you and say I would like to purchase Bitcoins using cash deposit. Oh, I'm sorry, this is if you're selling Bitcoins. You don't even need your friend. Excuse me. You're going to buy Bitcoins. Here's what you do. You go on local Bitcoins. You say cash deposit. Figure out what bank's near you. TD Bank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, doesn't matter. Find someone that's selling Bitcoin for cash. They tell you what bank to go to, what their name is, and what their account number is. You go to that bank, you put in the amount of money shown that you put into local Bitcoins. I want to get, and you get either choice. I know I'm going some tangents, but you guys are following me. So when you're putting into local Bitcoins, you could say, I want to buy, let's say, one whole Bitcoin, and it says $580. Great. If that vendor has a whole Bitcoin to sell, it'll say, initiate the trade, boom. If it says that's too much or too little, there's cutoff. Some sellers will only start at $200 and go from there, $1,000 or $6,000 or whatever. When you're willing to buy more Bitcoin in bulk on localbitcoins.com, you get usually a better deal on the buying end. Same for selling. When you're selling more in bulk, you can. Well, actually, no, the selling end is reverse because it mirrors the buying end. But anyways, right, so you can actually, this is the process, you can actually initiate this transfer, say I'm going to buy either one whole Bitcoin, or you can say I'm going to buy $200 worth of Bitcoin. You type in 200, and then it automatically tells you you're going to get 0.2938 whatever Bitcoin. So you say, all right, initiate the thing. This thing, it'll pop up on the right, it'll say, please deposit $200 into this account number. It's in this person's name, James so-and-so, and a lot of times it'll tell you the state, because most banks sometimes will ask you what state the account's in. So, I've done this before. I'll tell you guys, it's never failed me. I only deal with vendors on local Bitcoins that have pretty great feedback. Hundreds of completed transactions. I look at their average response times. I look at whether they're online or not. There's dots next to people's names on localbitcoins.com. Green dots mean they're actually online in the past 15, 20 minutes. Yellow means in the past hour, but not in the past 15, 20 minutes. And then there's gray, I believe, means they've been offline for, I think, over some amount, like 8 hours or longer. So I only initiate trades with people that are currently green. And a lot of times there's enough people that you can be that selective. And I still look for the ones that I'm getting it for the better price, too. So anyway, so here's how this works. I say I want $200 worth of Bitcoin. I initiate the trade. I get the account information. I go to the bank. I deposit the money into the account. I go right up to the teller with cash. Bring cash. Don't try to do a. I mean, you can do it. I don't know if you can do it. Just this is the way I know it works. I'll tell you that. You show up with cash, $200 in cash. Fill out the deposit slip. Hand it to the teller. Sometimes they've asked me what I'm doing, and I've always lied because I, first of all, don't want them to know what I'm doing, and I don't have to tell them. So if you're asking me a intrusive question, I'm just going to give you an answer to pass and get by because it's not your business, really. Especially if I don't know you, I'm at the bank. But so they've asked me, and here's some lines you can throw at them. I said that I'm paying back a debt. It's a bill collector. I have to, pay back a debt. Then they feel bad for you, and they don't want to ask me a question. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Sometimes I say I'm sending money to a friend if it's like a round number. One time I did like 157.08 because I needed like a specific amount of Bitcoin, like 0.3 Bitcoin or something. So any which way, you're at the bank, you deposit the money. They're not going to give you any grief. They might just be nosy, is what I'm saying. So you deposit the money, and they give you a receipt. Every single vendor I've ever worked with in this manner wants you to write down the reference number that comes on the transaction after you initiate it. There's a reference number you get. You write on the receipt the reference number, and you write local Bitcoins transfer, no refunds, and then you write the reference number, and then you tear the receipt in half. And you take a picture of that, and you upload it to local Bitcoins. Because if you weren't doing that, meanwhile, this is how this works. So when you initiate this trade for $200, the seller has to have Bitcoins available for them to be accepting this trade. So it comes from their Bitcoin wallet on local Bitcoins. It goes to an escrow, which is like a middleman kind of safe zone between you and the seller that local Bitcoins hosts themselves. So the money moves to this middle ground. And then when you upload that receipt saying, hey, I deposited the money, here's the receipt, then that's you. On your end, you notify that I paid. And then on his end, he has, I think, like an hour or two to release the Bitcoin to you. And if he doesn't dispute it, if he doesn't dispute that, some people just, maybe something comes up and they can't be at the computer, it'll eventually default to release to you because you did your part. And then you can go back. There's a dispute resolution aspect to the site as well, with an arbitration thing. But I've never had to use it. And so my experience is I just upload the receipt, and it's instant. Actually, a lot of times they see the deposit come through, and they're just really cool, like cooler, more chill sellers. And they see the money's in their account, and they release it right away. They don't need the receipt, but they just have it on there just to kind of weed out the jokers, I guess. So, I mean, that's kind of the easiest one. But yeah, I like the first one a lot better, though. I like the idea that if you offer a service for Bitcoin, you're actually enhancing the agorist economy. Because Bitcoin is not taxed, at least not through if you were doing a job on Reddit or Craigslist or just someone you knew. And I probably have a few viewers in Keene, New Hampshire. And let me name some other places that are pretty good hotbeds for Bitcoin. You have Seattle, Washington, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, I believe Austin, Texas, or Dallas, Texas, one of the two, and Seattle, I said Seattle, San Francisco, LA, those are pretty much the more hot areas for it. I guess it's pretty much everywhere, but I mean, in the United States, those are some of the hotter areas for it. Those are the type of cities and areas where you can actually just post online on Craigslist that you accept Bitcoin for whatever you offer. And if you have a business, if you actually have a storefront, or if you have a website, something you do online, something you sell, I'm not going to do that right now, but I will tell you that you can PM me and I'll coach you for no fee, for no charge. I'll just help you if it's just a couple tips and pointers for a few hours. I don't mind helping out. If it's an ongoing need that your business has to integrate cryptocurrency or to start accepting Bitcoin, and you want some security and some infrastructure and website stuff and all that put around that, and that's obviously something I could assist you with as well. I do internet marketing and software and web development services for a living, so I could assist with that. So I think we kind of covered getting in and out of Bitcoin. There's other ways to do it. I've used Coinbase before. You can link a bank account to Coinbase.com, and it will eventually allow you to make transfers. It takes 3 or 4 days. And there's an instant transfer option they have, but you have to have a Visa card, I believe, and that's the last time I checked. And I don't like Coinbase very much because I feel like it's very much the one that everyone's looking at, and the one that if someone were to try to attack, or if the government were trying to, snoop on data, that's where they'd really be plugged in the most. Local Bitcoins is certainly big, and there's a lot of other ones. I just don't really want to overwhelm people. I want to give you kind of the easiest ways to go. The next topic I want to talk about is altcoins. So to get a good list of the altcoins, and to understand the different ones that are out there, and to get a ranking of maybe which ones are bigger than the others, go to coinmarketcap.com. Coinmarketcap.com is a website that lists altcoins, and their default sorting on the website is from largest market cap to smallest market cap. Market cap is how much the total amount of all the coins are worth combined. So when someone says the market cap of IBM, that means what kind of all the shares of IBM are worth. That's not necessarily what IBM is worth, I don't believe, unless the shares outstanding represent the entire. Sometimes there's public and private equity, but with regards to Bitcoin, if there's 12 million Bitcoin in circulation right now, something like that, 13 million, whatever, and each one's worth $580 at the moment, roughly, then you do the math. 580 times 12 million is what the Bitcoin network's worth, and it's like $7.8 billion or something like that, or 6 point something. It fluctuates, but it's worth the most. And then I think number 2 has been Litecoin for the longest. I don't know if I'm not going to pull it up. It's not that important right now, but you can go to coinmarketcap.com and check out for yourself what the different coins are and how they rank and compare to each other in terms of the market cap is going to give you an idea of the size in terms of what the network's worth. And market cap is also something that you can look at to figure out security of a network, because the more the coin is worth, the more coins that are out there, the more distributed it is likely, the more the individual users of that coin and the merchants are all invested into the success. So Bitcoin, while the technology isn't by any means the most advanced out of any of the cryptocurrencies, it still has the broadest adoption, so it's the most secure from that regard, in that it's the most decentralized and the most difficult to fraud. And there's too many parties that would stand to lose greatly if the Bitcoin network were affected, so frauded. So there's a lot of market incentive to keep security built into Bitcoin. So the altcoins are different flavors of Bitcoin essentially, and you might ask, well, why are there different flavors? What is the purpose of that? Well, that's kind of like asking why have different brands of ketchup or different brands of soda, or why I have 2 or 3 different pizzerias in a town. Because variety is good, and because we can learn from our choices. If we make the same choice all the time, we have a hard time learning because we become in a pattern. If we are exploring new options and new opportunities, we can find out that one thing might work better or be more preferable than another thing, and then we can make a more permanent preference change in that way. So I think my prediction would be that Bitcoin will maybe for a little while, like 4 or 5 years or so would be my guess, be like a gold standard, maybe for a long time, maybe for the next 100 years. I don't think so, but for some period of time, I think Bitcoin will remain the gold standard of cryptocurrencies. But there's too much activity and too much development taking place to where it could remain. So I think. And here's the thing. So as Bitcoin grows, we all know the state is interested in creeping its blue-blooded inbred fingers into every single thing they can to further eke out their monopolies of aggression and monopolies on the tax cattle of the world, us lowly people. And Bitcoin is no different. So as soon as it gets big enough for them to sink their fingers into and sink their claws into, they're going to continue to do so. The bit license in New York City is a great example. New York State just became one of the hardest places in the world to do business in crypto. And if I lived in the state of New York, I'd be a criminal right now, based on the fact that I sell websites for cryptocurrency to people, because I don't have all these know your customer laws, and I don't get their social security numbers and driver's license and mother's maiden name and all this other stuff. I don't need that stuff to do a website. I need to know the name of your business. I need to know what colors you'd like the page to be, what content you'd like on the page. If you have a Facebook account, I don't need to know your social security number. I don't need to know anything. So anyway, that was just going on a little rant there. But with regards to the altcoins, they all serve different functions. They all allow you to experiment with the original idea of Bitcoin. And to get it a little bit technical, the way that you encrypt the information to protect, so when you send money, what's public in Bitcoin is how much you're sending and the address it was sent from, the public address it was sent from, the public address it was received at. But what is not seen is anything about who each party is, unless you're drawing a conclusion based on other transactions and trying to make assumptions. You need to have other data. And you don't know the individuals, and you don't know the context for it. So you don't know if it's money that was owed or money that's paid for a service or good. There's no more data in it than you put into it. And the ability to actually inject like notes into Bitcoin is something that's still being developed, and some applications and wallets support it, some don't. So suffice to say, altcoins are going to allow for other tools and tricks and stuff like that. Another really cool opportunity for altcoins is for people to have a chance to A, make some money, truthfully, and B, to have fun with cryptocurrencies without having to feel like a Bitcoin is already worth so much that the whole unit of it is like not even, like, I hardly ever have a whole Bitcoin on me at a time, because I use Bitcoin like I use money, like more so. Like when I prefer to have Bitcoin anytime, because, and here's why, and this is a little side tangent, but this is a great place to talk about it. Let's say I sold a website today to your business for $1,000, and you want to pay in fiat. I have to send you an invoice through PayPal. You send me the $500 deposit, let's just say, and I think it's 3%. So we're talking about $15 on that. So on the whole contract, I'm going to be out $30 to PayPal on the 1,000. And so, okay, so you send me the initial deposit today. It's in PayPal. Great. I have to probably buy some themes or fonts or stock images or whatever for your website. So I might spend some of the budget on PayPal. That's useful. No problem with that. But now I want to put some money in my account to pay my business expenses or to pay things that I can't pay through PayPal. Well, that takes 2 to 3 business days, unless you want to use a PayPal debit card, but there's a lot of obstruction to doing that. They don't make that very easy for you to get into, and there's a lot of costs involved with that. So basically you pay a lot of fees to use a traditional banking system, and you wait days and days and days. I mean, the time it would take you from now to, if I sent you money in PayPal and you didn't have an account and your bank account wasn't linked, to when you actually able to have that in your bank account and spend it, probably about 5 or 7 days. The time it would take me to send you Bitcoin right now, even if you don't have a Bitcoin wallet, you've never registered for anything with Bitcoin, I could tell you how I could send you that Bitcoin and you could make that into cash in 2 hours. You can't do that with PayPal. You can't do that with Western Union. Oh, maybe Western Union or MoneyGram, but that's a $10 fee. Bitcoin charges you 8 cents. And it's optional 8 cents. You don't have to pay the 8-cent miner fee, but if you don't mind waiting a few days to get your Bitcoin, because the miners won't pick up your transaction, but until it's by accident. So, I would say plunk down the 8 cents. Maybe throw a few more cents on there for a tip if you have that on your wallet where you can do that. And support the Bitcoin network, because I can send you Bitcoin right now. You could put it on local Bitcoins and do a sale to where someone deposits money in your checking account, and then when you see it's there, you release the Bitcoin to them. It's the same thing I explained before, but in reverse. You don't need to have all this feedback and reputation, because there's parties on there who are looking to buy Bitcoin, and they have the feedback and reputation. So they're willing to go on a limb and not trust you because they're doing volume. They don't need to trust every customer. They're looking to bring in new customers. So this is a free market application that Bitcoin can do that fiat cannot. I want to highlight a specific altcoin that I am fond of. Let me just put in the chat, taking questions. Let's see if anyone wants to throw some questions down in the mix. So I want to talk about Latium coin. It's spelled Latium. You can go to latium.cc. That's the homepage for Latium. But don't sign up for Latium coin without emailing me first, because I can refer you, and by going under me, you get to take advantage of my network, and it also helps me, which is awesome. And I'll help you get people underneath you. I have over 7,000 people under me. Latium coin is a mix between like multi-level marketing and cryptocurrency. So when you sign up for Latium coin, whether you sign up at the regular website or whether you come through me and use my affiliate link and get 5 coins and I get 2 coins, which is great. Support the program, support myself. You still get your same 5 coins, and you get to be under in my network. Actually, Adam Brandt is already, I think, under me, and I think a few other folks from Voluntary Virtues have actually signed up for Latium coin because of my encouraging them to do so. But it's a cool coin because it fosters decentralization in the sense that they give out 5 coins to everyone to start, and it pays interest. So, you can actually just keep your wallet open and it'll stake, like mints new coins basically as it's open, as it's there. So I just want to encourage people to try other coins, to try altcoins, and Latium is one that's really easy because they give you 5 coins to start, and then if you refer people, you get 2 coins for every one that you refer, and then when they refer someone, you get 1 and they get 2, and so forth, and it goes all the way down. And I know that sounds like an inflationary type of mechanism. It isn't, and I'll tell you why. I mean, it can be, it may be in a sense, but it is inflating the money supply of Latium coin, but it's not in the sense that Bitcoin is not inflating the total supply because it's fixed at a cap at some point. So even if they're slowly expanding that monetary supply until it reaches that cap, unlike the Fed, unlike even gold doesn't have an actual cap because there's no way to be sure that you've extracted all the gold in the earth until you've sifted through every ounce of soil on the planet. Whereas Bitcoin, when we're out of mineable Bitcoin and we're down to just miners subsisting off of the fee, it'll be a known thing. We'll know, okay, there's no more mining block reward for mining a coin. Now it's all fees. So that will happen at some point, I think like 30 or 50 or some years from now. So we talked about altcoins, we talked about Latium coin. You can message me or drop your contact information in the chat, and I'll send you my private link to be invited in. And then if you want to take advantage of a campaign that I designed, I have a landing page, and for $5 worth of Bitcoin, you usually are pretty much good for about 50 to 100 Latium signups with this campaign that I do, and it gets you. Latium coin right now is worth 1,000th of a Bitcoin. So 5 millibits you get for free, which is so a Bitcoin is let's say $600. So 0.1 Bitcoin is 100 Latium coin. Oh, I'm sorry, 1,000 Latium coin. 0.01 Bitcoin is 100 Latium coin. So if you had 100 Latium coin, which you could easily get just by signing up like 50 people real easily, that would be worth about $60 in no, $6. Yeah. So you're not getting a ton. You're getting like whatever 50, 60 cents worth of Lightning coin to sign up. But that's something, and it's more than Bitcoin and any other coin gives you just to start out. They don't usually give you anything in the wallet when you start. That's kind of cool. So hit me up if you want to join that. CoinMarketCap.com if you want to see all the altcoins. And then Reddit.com is, if you guys aren't on Reddit, get on Reddit and follow these threads. Follow Reddit, the subreddit for Bitcoin. There's Bitcoin markets, which might be a little crazy if you're not a market person, you don't trade stocks or anything, but it's a good place to start learning a little bit. There's Reddit cryptocurrencies, darknet markets if you're interested in that kind of stuff, and then I think there's Reddit/altcoin, and then there's a Reddit / for every particular coin too, Litecoin, Darkcoin, Doge, Bank. Pretty much everything you can think of. And if you're having a hard time finding resources, again, message me or email me at what I give out for this show. Feedback at no, that's Rose Delivery. Send it to randallparkerjr@gmail.com. That'll work. So we're going to talk about some Bitcoin things that are difficult in easy terms. Waiting to see if we get any questions from the chat. If not, we'll just go into some news after that. I gotta have my sippy sips. I have my e-cigarette here too, which is pretty cool. I thought of doing that for sure, so I don't know if you get mincy. Hold on a sec. This was like cold and kind of weird. Anyway, so some hard Bitcoin things in easy terms. Blockchain, let's start with that. What the hell is a blockchain? Well, we kind of talked about it. Blockchain is the data storage of all the transaction information. So that's how you know who has what. People see hard Bitcoin things. QR codes, wallets, what's going on with all that? So Bitcoin wallet is really not something that anyone actually ever has. It's kind of a crazy thing. So if you have a Bitcoin wallet on your phone, or a Bitcoin wallet on a computer, or a Bitcoin wallet on an exchange, the wallet data file is just a data file that tells the Bitcoin network that you are who you say you are. Has the keys in it for that wallet. But the data of where the Bitcoin is always stored in the blockchain, which, yes, you can download a copy of the blockchain on your computer and I can have it online and so forth, but the data can't be on one or another. It has to be propagated and accepted across the network or not. It's not a, well, this coin is kind of here. No, it's like if you have that Bitcoin, every other wallet file on the network is either agreeing with that in the consensus if it happened a while ago, or it's if it's recently a transfer, it's something that is at an acceptable level of consensus, and the consensus is still growing from there. So that hopefully made some sense to people. What other kind of Bitcoin hard, difficult ideas are there for people to get their head around? Let's talk about the idea of anonymity a little bit more. So when you send Bitcoin, you're using a code, the wallet address. So, and that's what makes you really anonymous. You know, I mean, if you're on Reddit or if you're on Craigslist and you do a gig and you don't feel like giving someone your name and your birth date and your address and all that stuff, you say, look, you send me $50 worth of Bitcoin, I'm gonna design this logo for you, and I'm gonna send you a draft of it with a watermark on it. And then when you say you like it, and you send me the other half, I'll send you the logo without the watermark on it, and that'll be yours and we'll be done. That's just an example of where you can do business in Bitcoin without giving your identity away. Because you're just sending your Bitcoin address, you're not sending your name or your address or anything like that. So, I mean, does Cash offer that? Yeah, but you're going to send cash in the mail? Is that what your plan is? It's just not practical. And at least with Bitcoin, like, if I send someone Bitcoin with that public, like, so I'm sending you $50 worth of Bitcoin for you to, because you're going to do a logo design for me, and if I send that to you, I can't necessarily see who controls that Bitcoin wallet. I'm assuming it's you. But when I send it, I can certainly see what other types of transactions have happened in that wallet. If it's never been used, if it's received a lot of 50s and 100s and stuff like that. So it seems like someone does a lot of $50. Like, tell me that's your price. Let's say someone's business's pricing is $49 or something, and you go into look at their history on blockchain.info, and blockchain.info is a great site to go check out any wallet, or you can start a wallet there for free. So anyway, you can go on that site and check and see, oh wow, this person's got 200 separate transactions for $49 each. I guess they are who they say they are. So that's pretty cool. I'm gonna jump into the news real quick because I'm only at the halfway point now. I don't have anyone volunteering yet in the YouTube chat. Let's see if anyone's on Facebook looking to join in the mix. Anyone want to ask Bitcoin questions to me? My computer is not typing very much. No S typo. Oh, there it goes. Cool. We'll see if anybody wants to jump in the mix. We'll pull up some. Jeff Berwick is a sponsor of the program. He has a blog called the DollarVigilante.com, or Dollar Vigilante. He's known as Bitcoin Jesus. No, that's Roger Ver. Sorry, Dollar Vigilante. He's known as Bitcoin Messiah, I think it is, something like that. But he's a mogul. He's pretty well off himself, and he's one of the sponsors of the program. I don't have any personal connection with him, so I can't speak too well on who he is and whatnot. But other than what's out there, but so he has a blog post on his site from yesterday, which is from today rather, which is a guest contributor of his, and also this gentleman. His name is I'll get it for you in a second. Gentleman's name is David Seaman. He's a writer for, I believe, Reason.com or a few others. I've seen David around. I think he does pretty good work. I don't always agree with everything he says, obviously, but he's got a piece here. I'll read the first part of it, and then I'll get into a little analysis of it. He says, I'll just bring this closer so I can have the mic. He says, yesterday President Obama stated that we tortured some folks, in quotes, in the aftermath of 9/11. Later in the day, he expressed his full confidence in his CIA director, a man several pundits have pointed out was supportive of such torture during the Bush administration. Obama pointed out that torture is against our, quote, values. David Seaman, the author, says no. This is editorial content. A long way to the grocery store is against our values. Abduction and torture without trial, on the other hand, is illegal. So you'll see where he's going with this in a second. Warrantless surveillance of the American civilian population more than a year after Edward Snowden first came out with his revelations is illegal. Using the IRS to intimidate and slow down political oppression is illegal. Governments have become far more powerful than their people. I don't like the way that this is written, by the way, to where he's using that kind of verbiage. Their people. Maybe you don't agree with it, but don't use the statist language anyway. The NSA, a military agency whose metadata analysis was instrumental in ordering lethal strikes against insurgents in Afghanistan, is now sifting through your, and without doubt, my emails and text messages. This is so far removed from the American system of checks and balances I learned about in school, and civil liberties enshrined by the Bill of Rights, that it's hard to know where to begin in analyzing how we got to this point. And the tyranny is not limited to the United States. The EU has become an economic cage with prohibitively high taxes and regulations holding back European countries from experiencing the explosion of wealth that American tech entrepreneurs enjoyed pre-9/11. In some of Europe's once proud nations, such as Spain and Greece, youth unemployment is now in the 50% range. Okay. Many young people my age have turned to prostitution and crime to survive there. Not in India or Pakistan, in Western Europe. If only there were some supranational currency you could safely buy online with a few clicks that simultaneously undermines the EU and US money printing presses. surveillance, war, and taxation authority abuse end the moment they can no longer be financed. Here we go. All right, I'm going to keep reading on. It's a good article, and this is getting good. And if only that currency was strictly limited in nature, leading to deflationary pressure over time, instead of your money turning into toilet paper, it turns into science fiction currency. Valuable beyond belief. That's what happens when a currency takes off and the keys to the printing press are destroyed. This is a revolution. Make no mistake. The only difference is this revolution has already been endorsed by our masters. The federal government recently auctioned off more than $18 million worth of Bitcoin, and shortly before that, Bitcoin was made legal for federal political campaigns. And this revolution, instead of sending participants to the guillotine, sends them to Park Avenue in Beverly Hills. I have zero doubt that many of the people involved in cryptocurrency today at its birth will become fabulously rich within the next couple of years. And this revolution is peaceful, organized, and mathematically guaranteed to succeed. I don't know if I would go to where I would say it's mathematically guaranteed to succeed, because there's a lot of factors that aren't strictly mathematical that could affect the success of Bitcoin or the failure. So I would take some question with that, but there's some issue with that. I'll sound like a r/Bitcoin neckbeard here, but so be it. I'll explain that later if you guys don't know that. Bitcoin is the instrument of your liberation, and here's where I fully agree. Anyone can... I lost my place in the... Oh, and the more we hear banks and their water boys at the regulatory agencies saying Bitcoin enables criminal activity, ask yourself this: what kind of criminal activity does the dollar or euro in your wallet enable? That's right. So skimming the rest of the article, yeah, market cap of Bitcoin 7.7 billion. He predicts that Bitcoin's market cap won't stop at 100 billion or 1 trillion or 5 trillion. The census foreclosures, murder, torture, surveillance, dead-end jobs, political propaganda, desperation, they're all about to be made as obsolete as a CD player the moment after Steve Jobs unveiled Apple's first iPod in October 2001, promising 1,000 songs in your pocket. Bitcoin is 1,000 revolutions in your pocket. David Seaman is a cool guy. I don't 100% agree with him. He's a journalist, digital currency enthusiast, and hosts the podcast David Seaman Hour, which is free on iTunes, Stitcher, and davidseaman.com. And this article was reblogged and contributed to the Dollar Vigilante, which is Jeff Berwick's site. You can go to dollarvigilante.com and find out more about the site, Dollar Vigilante, what it is, what Jeff Berwick's about, and also read some more content. Jeff Berwick's a big supporter of Bitcoin, and the Dollar Vigilante is a free market. It's a free market-based website that encourages people to become individuals who protest government monopoly on money and financial policies such as fractional reserve banking and unbacked fiat currencies by selling those same fiat currencies in favor of other assets, including gold, silver, corn, real estate, and Bitcoin. So it's a blog or a newsletter that supports Voluntary Virtues Network. Why would you say that Voluntary Virtues Network, which is a voluntary organization, why would you say they would have, or we would have a sponsor that was about using alternative currencies other than fiat currencies? Why would you think? Because you're using the money of your own enslavement. You're using the same money that by you making that economy strong, by transferring dollars all the time, you're propping up the war state. You're propping up the taxation state. I mean, it's not all that cut and dry because they're going to do whatever the hell they want to do anyway. But why play with their money if you don't have to? Why use dollars? Why use euros if you don't have to? Bitcoin is becoming so rich in its usefulness that it doesn't require you to use dollars as much anymore. So if you're having any difficulty with any of this and you're saying, you know, God, I'm listening to this podcast or I'm watching this video and I'm trying to understand how this applies to me and how I can really start to put Bitcoin into my workflow, whether it's my day-to-day life of and let me get something else second, but whether it's incorporated into your day-to-day life just to be as a hobbyist or a trader, or it's to incorporate into your business, hit me up. I can help you out with that, and I don't mind. Other thing is there is shoot, I think it's, forget what it is. I'm gonna try to find it for you guys, especially if I get a guest, because then I can take some time while they're talking to figure it out. But there's a few websites, I believe, but there's a few companies out there that will allow you to actually get direct deposit through Bitcoin. Not every place that you work will accept this, obviously. Sometimes they only accept certain conventional banks and routing numbers and stuff, but it's a company that essentially will receive the fiat from your employer in direct deposit and then transfer it to Bitcoin and send you the Bitcoin to a Bitcoin address. So if you just Google search direct deposit in Bitcoin, you'll probably find it. But that's a cool thing. I don't have a conventional type of job like that right now. But there's another website called coinvoice.com. But it's not two I, so it's COINVOICE. Coinvoice.com, I guess. Coinvoice.com, I guess, would be the way to say it. But so that website allows you to actually send an invoice to a client instead of sending a PayPal invoice and then selling your PayPal US, dollars, local currency for Bitcoin. You could actually get paid. Your client pays in fiat to co-invoice, and then co-invoice will transfer that into Bitcoin and send it to you, which is great. And that's something I'm looking at implementing into my business right now. So that's that. I'm losing battery power over here in the chat box. So, but I don't see anybody looking to chat yet. So we'll see what happens. If somebody wants to jump in and ask a question, cool. If not, I'm gonna just kind of cover some more stuff. Let me see if we got anybody trying to chat. No. I don't see it. Okay, so let's get back into some more news, see what else we got going on around the world of Bitcoin. And I think I have some more stuff in my show notes. Breaking stuff. No, not really. I was going to talk about the future of Bitcoin and stuff like that, where it's going, but that's always part of the conversation. So give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up my show notes again. I can't believe no one has any questions for me today. That's okay. Maybe someone will pop up with a question. If you have a question, put it in the chat on YouTube. I'll see it there, or you can message me on Facebook if we're friends, and we will try to get you on the program. I'll send you the private invite link, and you can actually come on and speak your question to the audience today. I want to shout out Proz. They're the sponsor of the program, and they're currently in a phase of pre-launch, working on the project, getting the final pieces in place, and we are glad to help them keep the word out there about their project and promote what they're trying to accomplish here on the program, which is essentially to make a home for cryptocurrency enthusiasts who are currently scattered all over the web on Bitcoin talk forums, Reddit / whatever for Bitcoin, this, that, and the third. So Proz aims to be a central place for news and original content around the Bitcoin space, and some other special features they're working on that they're going to be announcing, which are really exciting as well. So I want to thank them. I want to mention that there's another program on the network that I host as well. If you haven't heard of it, it's on Friday nights, and you can just do a search for Roads to Liberty. That's the name of the program. We have had some pretty cool guests in the past few weeks. We've had both sides of the original cast of Freedom Fiends back to back. That was a super huge treat for me. As a voluntarist, as an anarchist, as an anarcho-capitalist, those two gentlemen are responsible for bringing me a lot of the way towards liberty, and with the help of Bad Quaker and Mark and Ian and Stephanie Murphy over at Free Talk Live, and the rest of the crew over there, Daryl, and also Adam Kokesh and his team and stuff. I mean, there's been a bunch, but yeah, big thank you to the Freedom Fiends for both of them coming on the program back to back. I had Neil Mavadati 2 weeks ago, and I had Michael W. Dean last week. And if you're watching this program and you enjoy liberty and you enjoy studying the philosophy of voluntarism, those 2 episodes I think were jam-packed with insightful information, and it was a pleasant conversation I have with both of them. So also I want to mention, while I have some time on the program, that we have had a bunch of guests on the show, and that's how we prefer things to go. Most of the guests typically can't make it live because Bitcoin is a worldwide phenomenon. A lot of these startups and coin developers are in all sorts of countries around the world, and the time zone difference usually prevents us from getting together at this time, which is this is airing at 7:30 to 8:30 Eastern Time on the on the West Coast. And actually, excuse me. I just realized I'm over my, I believe I'm over my timing for the show. I don't know how I went over. Hopefully I'm not encroaching on someone else's show. 7:30 to 8:30, that would be 6:30. We're going to wrap up, guys. I guess I ranted for an hour. Hopefully we helped you guys learn a little bit about Bitcoin and answer some questions. In the meantime, go ahead and you can tweet me for general purposes at my name, at Randall Parker Jr. on Twitter, or at Roads to Liberty, Roads to Liberty for the Friday show. And if you have a guest idea, topic, or question, we'll try to address it on one of the upcoming programs. Thanks everybody for watching. Tune in next week. Check out the archives. Roads to Liberty, Coin Pros, Crypto Talk Hour. You're on the Voluntary Virtues Network. I'm your host, Randall Parker, signing off. Stay tuned for more great programming in the voluntary space on the network today. Take it easy. Bye.